So, thank you. Yeah, Dave Rosenthal, and I've worked with Craig because he's going to help you understand Social Security and retirement. And yes, about 10 years ago, I started selling Medicare over the phone nationwide, and it was great. I learned, and about 4 years ago, I said, you know what, I can go do this on my own, and I've been doing that more here in Utah, and I work a couple of different states. So we will get going and kind of help you. The whole point of this is for you to say, look, I have Medicare. You know, at some point in your life, you're going to have Medicare, and I want you to be able to say, I have a few options. If I don't have employer coverage after I retire, you know, I want to be able to know what my costs are going to be. That way, when you talk financial planning, you'll kind of know what your costs are. Or you can compare that to your employer coverage and decide if you want to use your employer coverage or the outside system. Okay? So the first thing with Medicare, and who knows how old you have to be to have Medicare? Just shout it out.
65.
Okay? Any other? That was pretty unanimous.
60.
You can be any age to get Medicare.
Okay.
Now, if you're 65, you can get it no questions asked. If you're under 65, you have to be on Social Security disability, and you'll get Medicare 25 months in. Sound like you said you knew that, which is good.
I said 0, but
0.
I didn't say a loud number.
Okay. So the two, when it comes to getting on Medicare, what you get from the government, and I'm going to put this up here, a little line up here, is you get A and B. This part's from the government. Part A, does anyone know how much that generally costs? Generally costs 0. You have to have worked 40 quarters or have a spouse that worked 40 quarters in the United States to get it to 0. Does anyone know what Part B will cost you?
An arm and a leg?
$135. So depending on how much you value your arms and legs, that's what it costs you. Okay, it's $135, and right now I'm going to take a step back. That's what it is this year, and it's been $135 for the last few years. It can fluctuate year to year. It can go down, and it can go up. The government usually tells you around February if there's any changes, and I haven't heard that there'll be any changes into 2020. Okay?
Is that per month?
It is, yes. Everything I quote pretty much here is going to be per month, yes. And the other thing I'm going to say is we're going to go over the secondary, which is your supplements and your Medicare Advantage. And I'm going to give you Utah numbers, which are pretty good nationwide. But inevitably, no matter what number I say, there's always going to be somebody telling me, well, my brother-in-law or my brother that lives elsewhere has different numbers. And I'll agree with you. Yes, they may have different numbers, and I'll kind of give you that as we go along. Okay. So, is Medicare 100% coverage? Not at all. So what that leaves you responsible for is it leaves you responsible for deductibles. It leaves you responsible after the deductibles for 20% of everything beyond that. And there is no drug coverage with Medicare. Okay? Now I know that you always say there'll be someone saying yes, there is, but that's going to be all the private insurance. Okay? There was no drug coverage until George W. Bush. He brought in the drug coverage to Part D, and we are going to discuss that. Okay? So if you stay on original Medicare, which you can, and when you go to Social Security, that's all they'll tell you. You get on Medicare. But what we're going to discuss here, and this is what most people want to know, is what's going to help me cover the deductibles, the 20%, and the drugs. Okay? So I'm going to use a different color for that. Because once you get into the secondary, this part no longer exists. Okay, you're not responsible for the deductibles and 20% anymore. Does anyone know the routes, the names of the routes? 2 different routes. Just rid of that. So there's the supplement route, okay? And then there's what's called Medicare Advantage route. Can you see that it's blue? Huh? You can't see that? Let's,
Try green.
very great.
She said it.
Yeah, that doesn't look like it's gonna be any better. I'll just keep using black. It's not, yeah, it's not very dark blue. That's gonna, I might need it for a little while. Now the third route, which I'm going to put it on this side, is your employer coverage. And why I'm going to leave that over here kind of floating is BYU obviously is going to have their employer coverage. Every employer has their, that's going to offer coverage into retirement, and they're all going to be different. And until you show me the paperwork, there's no way for me to know. And I'll give you the basics of BYU that I know from what I've seen this last year, but that could completely change this new next year. Okay. Now, this part, the secondary coverage, is all private insurance. Okay. That's why I say a lot of people will come up to me and say, I want to get the Medicare drug plans. There's no such thing, because Medicare doesn't have a drug plan. It's all shunted over to the private side. Okay? So on a supplement route, you're going to have two different policies. You're going to have the drug plan, and you're going to have the supplement plan. Okay? Now, what a supplement does, and this is a lot of times where a lot of people will say, Medicare just sounds like this great big alphabet soup. And it is, because you have A and B here, and on this side there'll be C and D. But then within the supplements, you have, and it starts again with A, you have A, B, C, and it goes through N at this point. And not all of them exist right now, because some of them have been discontinued. Your main ones are Plan F, Plan G, and Plan N. Plan F, and I'm going to talk to you about it real quick, and it's been the most popular because once you pay your monthly premium, it's 100% coverage. No more co-pays, co-insurance, doctor, hospital. The problem with this is as of January 2020, you can no longer enroll in a Plan F. If you have it, you can keep it. Okay? So I'm putting it up there because most people have heard of that. The next step down is a Plan G. The only thing that's different between a Plan G and a Plan F is you owe the Part B deductible, which is $185 per year. After that, so you calculate that into, you pay the $185, and then you pay no more co-pays, doctor, hospital. Okay? Now, and I will tell you, I don't mind this because I've been recommending the Plan G for 10 years now. For a couple of reasons. The monthly premium is lower, and you'll save that $185 on the front end, and then as you age, a supplement will slowly raise its premiums, and the Plan G is never raised as fast as a Plan F, so you save money both on the front end and on the back end. Okay? Plan N, as you go down this, what's called the hierarchy, you're just going to lose more things. You're going to have a copay, but I want to just kind of go over supplement, because the main thing with the supplement is there's no networks. You can go to any doctor that takes Medicare, and you just pay your monthly premium. Now, the number that I want to give you is about $150. Okay? So reminder, you have the $135 that you'll owe per month. You have 150. Now this is where, like I say, when you just turn 65, that number is going to be a little lower, about 120. Okay? As you get older, that's going to raise up into about 180. But if you just take an average of 150, that's a good number for you to remember. Do you have a question?
Oh, sorry, I was reading mine again. Is that per month?
Yes. Again, everything that I'm quoting here is generally per month. So 150. And then a drug plan. These ones are generally going to cost you about $30. Okay? Now, there's the monthly premium, and then you will also have co-pays for your drugs. About $5 to $10 for generics, about $45 for brand name drugs. Okay? So, just as a general feel, on the supplement side, 135, 150, 100, not 100, but $30, you're going to be paying about $300 per month, and you'll have very, very good coverage.
Per person or for a couple?
Is that again? Oh yes, per person. Yes. So this is per person. Your employer plan, which I'm going to go over, will have per couple stuff, and that's why every one of them is different. Some of them have, they quote them out as per person. But I know BYU has a per couple quote. Okay. So is there any questions on this route? This is what most people have heard about. You have Medicare, and you have a supplement. What I've been told them is Medicare doesn't like the fact that you pay your monthly premium and then you can go to the doctor with no outlay from yourself beyond that. Okay. There have been other ones, a Plan J, which most of the time I run into that one. If someone's at about 85 at this point, a Plan J is a jam. Has been gone for a long time. It was also 100% coverage. Now, and this is pure speculation, this next statement, they may take it away, they may bring it back if there's a plan running for it. But right now, they're taking it away. Yes.
So it sounds like that was the plan for me as a hypochondriac.
As a hypochondriac?
Just go to the doctor every week, right?
Yeah. There, that will kind of go into next level Medicare that I don't usually talk about. There are concepts, fraud, waste, and abuse. Medicare does watch if someone's going too much to the doctor, or if a doctor is having people come too often. There are mechanisms for that to be stepped in. But a supplement works very well, and I will, some of this, he's taking a picture. I will leave this up here. By the time when we're done, you can come snap the picture. You can take it as you want, but I'm not going to erase it.
So take the whole board?
Huh?
You take the whole board with us?
Yeah, they let you. But the picture's pretty good.
Two days.
Yeah, I know. Yes, question.
So the G, for my question, takes out the deductible and the 20%?
Yeah, once you go above this line, you're no longer you're responsible for the A and B, but you're no longer responsible for the deductible, the 20%, and the drug plan. You're going to take care of that. Yeah, so you no longer have to worry about that. On a Plan G, you would pay your monthly premium. You'd pay the first $185, and then you would have no hospital or doctor co-pays thereafter. I will take a step back.
But you still have the RX.
Yes. A is hospital, and I always forget this one. B is medical, your doctors, your labs, that kind of stuff. Okay? So, the second route is what's called your Medicare Advantage route. Now, this one is going to look a lot more like your employer coverage. Okay? Again, this side had no networks. You can go to any doctor that takes Medicare. This side with the Medicare Advantage, there will be networks that you need to use. Okay? And the biggest reason a lot of people like this is the cost. Generally, it costs you $0. There's usually a big glaring question behind that. Huh? Nothing costs zero, right? How is it zero? Explain this to me. You're lying to me. That's what I get a lot. I don't believe you. Okay? What happens is Medicare has actuaries or mathematicians that allot a certain amount per person that's on Medicare, say $1,000 per month. These plans, and on both sides it's Humana, Aetna, Intermountain Healthcare, Mutual of Omaha, all plans that you've heard of. They go to Medicare and say, hey, we will take that money that you've allotted. They're not going to, what they get, they're not going to tell you, they're not going to tell me, it's just kind of behind the scenes. But they turn around and say, with what we get every month from Medicare, we require nothing out of you as a beneficiary. Okay? So, for you, it costs zero. There is behind the scenes graduate level Medicare. There's money going around between Medicare and the companies. So it costs you zero, but then you will have co-pays as you go. Okay? So what are the co-pays? I'm going to write it like this. Most people have seen this type of thing. So, $10 for a primary care, $50 for a specialist, $90 for an emergency. Okay? And then, if you ever had a bad year, there's what's called a maximum out-of-pocket. So your co-pays on the original Medicare would go 20% of everything, even if your costs were, a couple $100,000, you pay 20% of it. If you have a Medicare Advantage, you're just paying co-pays up to a set amount, and if your care exceeds that, you'll pay zero beyond that maximum. Okay. It also, for that zero premium, will include your RX plan, your drug plan, with Part D. Okay. And again, you will have co-pays with the drug coverage, for the drug. Okay? And if any of you are close to Medicare, or thinking about that, you've probably seen commercials where they say, hey, let's make sure you get everything that you deserve. Call us. There's gym memberships, there's transportation. There's all sorts of things that Medicare does not cover. Have any of you seen those commercials? Okay? She's nodding her head yes. Now that I tell you, you'll probably key into it. But that's what they're offering is the same thing. They're talking about Medicare Advantage programs because these plans will add things that Medicare does not. It's called their gym membership. A lot of people have heard Silver Sneakers. That's a third-party vendor, but they'll pay for gym membership. Some of them they'll pay for transportation to and from the doctor. They'll pay for over-the-counter benefits. So they'll add a lot of things that Medicare does not, so that it'll incentivize you to enroll in them. Go ahead.
So with the two plans going between supplemental and advantage, what is coverage on medical equipment? I know my father-in-law has had a lot of procedures lately and he keeps needing different therapy equipment and things. What percentage of those costs of that? Are those on the supplemental side free or are there co-pays?
Yeah, so what she's asking about, the camera to pick it up, she's asking about durable medical equipment. So usually on everything, on original Medicare, you're paying 20% of it. Okay, so if it's a walker, wheelchair, you're paying 20%. The supplement, if it's been ordered, will take care of the rest of that because you no longer have the co-pays with that. On a Medicare Advantage, you will be paying, most of them you will be paying that 20%, just like you would on Medicare, but it will help go against this maximum out of pocket if you ever had a bad year. So that does go against that. Okay. Good question. Any other questions on that before I move on a little bit further?
But it's not enough, you don't have to reach the maximum before it starts covering.
No, it's not a deductible. Okay, that's what you're asking. But if it's a deductible, it's not a deductible. Say you're just run of the mill. You get a Medicare Advantage, it costs you zero. You're going to go to the primary and $10 for, you go once every quarter, whatever. Maybe you do a specialist. You're going to pay $10 4 times a year, maybe $50 twice a year to a specialist. Okay, and most of my clients, I know a lot of people will think, oh no, I'm gonna hit 65 and my health is gonna go out the window. Most people, it just kind of keeps going the way that they are. And if you're pretty healthy now, I saw that. If you're pretty healthy now, generally you stay pretty healthy. Go ahead.
So it just seems like there's still another shoe to drop, because unless the medical advantage, if it costs me nothing, how are they covering the deductible, the 20% of the RX, aside from the copay?
They are getting they're going back, they are getting a big chunk of money every month.
But they're not getting any more than the 135 a month.
They are getting more than that.
Well, where's that coming from? Because I'm not paying it.
Okay. You've been paying, the question is how much are they getting? Because they're getting more than
No,
that.
but it seems like, it doesn't, I'm not asking how much are they getting. It just seems like if all I'm paying is 135, because A is free, right? And this is free, well, who's covering all those other things?
Okay, so let's go back to this, and this is a good thing to remember. I say it's zero because it costs you zero per month. You're paying for this right now. You've been paying for Part A for
Forever.
50 years, for 40 years, however long, you've been paying for a lot more. It's been coming out of your payroll checks.
But I've been paying for the people who are currently on the system, not for me.
Yeah, and that's for your politicians, yeah? Supposedly that money's supposed to go to a lockbox, probably doesn't, but you're right. Yeah, you've been paying it in, and supposedly it's for those people that are on it now, and then the people that are working in the future. It's supposed to be there. You are going to hear a lot of things every year. You're not going to hear as much this year, but next year you're going to hear all sorts of things commercial-wise. Medicare's going away. Medicare's going bankrupt. And I feel that question. I do not know. I do not believe it, because they're going to keep putting the money into Medicare. But I'm not a politician. I don't make those decisions. But yes, they are getting more than just the 135, because you've been paying for the hospital for, we'll just assume 50 years. It started when you were maybe 15, 16, working, and you're retiring at 65. You've been paying a lot for that. And so these plans get enough money that's where they have actuaries also. I'm just going to assume, just go with the number around $600–700 a month that they get. They get that from Medicare, and they turn around and say, we require zero out of you. Some people will cost them nothing because they'll never go to the doctor. Other people will cost them through the roof. Okay? Medicare, just so you know, does watch that. And if a plan is not functioning right, either they're making too much money or they're making too little, Medicare starts talking with them. They'll either make them add more benefits or they'll put sanctions on them. But that's graduate level Medicare Advantage. So more of the, yes, and I get the question, more of what I want to go over is, this is what your cost can help you in retirement. Go ahead.
Who's administering the Med Advantage?
It could be any.
Is that private?
Yeah. Anything above this is private. All your, here you have, here in the valley, you have United Healthcare, Aetna, IHC, Humana. If you were in Southern California, you would have Kaiser. If you're in Massachusetts, you'd have Goldsinger. There's many different networks throughout the nation. There's also Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're a very minor player. They've gotten rid of most of their Medicare Advantage. So it's going to be wherever you live, it's going to be the insurances that you are familiar with. Does that answer that question?
So with Med Advantage, you don't have the FG.
No, that's yeah. This is what's called the Medicare Advantage. Yes, this is a good approach to say that. Is typically what you'll hear is called Part C of Medicare, and then the drug plans, and I'm going to put this in here, are Part B. Okay. But then you have this small little box of the supplements, which is a whole new alphabet system starting with A. So typically you have A, B from the government, C and D. C just absorbs the D because it's part of the plan if you're on the Medicare Advantage. Or you have a supplement, the D plan, and there'll be another alphabet soup right here. And that's where it's kind of going with that. So that's where,
So you kind of pick and choose whatever you want to pay for.
So you can choose the supplement route, or you can choose the Medicare Advantage route. You can't have both, and I'm gonna answer a question in a moment. Can you go back and forth between the two? What's your question?
It seems like the one on the right is so much cheaper, why would anybody do the one on the left? That's totally dumb question.
Yeah. Say you came to me and said, I already have cancer. I go to the doctor a lot. You're going to be spending about $2,000 on this side. Be able to go to any doctor you want, which is lower than this out-of-pocket maximum. You're going to be well served on the supplement. Other people come to me and say, I just want the Cadillac. I want to go wherever I want, whomever I want. That type of thing. I don't want any managed care. I've had that for my whole working life. I don't like it. They're going to want the supplement. Other people are going to be, hey, I like zero. I'm fine with managed care. I've been using that for 30, 40 years. That's what I'm used to anyways. That's the system I've grown up in. It's all I've ever known. So that's of no relevance or no scale off my back to go to Medicare Advantage. Good question. Go ahead.
How does TRICARE work into all this?
TRICARE is good. So there's, I guess you should put that kind of over here as its own little. This is a government system, okay, A and B of Medicare. You also have military, okay, which is TRICARE, VA. It's another government system. You can use, and there are two government systems. They don't really help each other, and they don't hurt each other. If you wanted to pay the $135, you can have Medicare and use all this with the Medicare side. Or you could just use TRICARE in the military system all by itself and ignore Medicare. That's a good question. Okay, so it's another government system that some people will have just the government military system because they're happy with it. Others will use both of them. So you can go use the military doctors, the VA, TRICARE, or they can go to also outside doctors that are close to them.
So TRICARE in the military system would be a supplement to Medicare?
No, you don't even need to get Medicare. Like, you don't have to get this part of Medicare for the military.
But you could.
You could. If you wanted to get it and have two different systems, then you could get Medicare and go this route also. Some people will say, I love the VA, I go to them, they've been great for me. I have other people, I don't like the lines, I don't like the wait, and I don't feel they have quality doctors. It's whatever you decide. I don't have a say on that.
It's basically a veterans, you have to consult the military.
Yes. Yes, to have TRICARE, which is you've generally served 20 years and you're retired from the military, you have TRICARE. But then there's people that didn't retire from it, or they just have Veterans Administration. Okay. Is there another question? Okay. So then so when it comes to you and you're planning into the future, you have to say, okay, do I want to use the outside system that anyone's available to, or you may have an employer system, okay? Now, I've seen employer systems range from $0 to $800 per month, okay? Some of them are very cost efficient, some of them are not. Now, what I've seen, and I put it on this side, is like my wife works here at BYU, and I have their insurance now. I don't think she'll work here till she retires, but even if she did, she wouldn't have access to the BYU retirement because she's, depending on how long you've worked here, you could or may not have BYU coverage. From what I remember looking at it, there was one person or a couple people that I looked at the beginning of or towards the end of last year. It's generally about $300, and like I said, and then you will have co-pays after you pay the $300, okay? Now this, like from your question, is a couple. This is for a couple. And like I said, the employer systems can make whatever rules they want. And I can't look into it. Like if you work at Dow Chemical or Ford, if BYU or Vivint, they're all gonna have, if they have an employer system, their own system, okay? Now, they are, what I've seen with BYU, it is pretty close to this. You'll have a higher monthly premium, but your maximum out of pocket is gonna be about $3,500 if I remember right. So you just have to compare, for that point, you just have to compare, this is what my employer offers, do I wanna keep that? Okay? And then the second kind of thing for that is, do I wanna keep it? Will my employer, and this is a question you have to ask your employer, if I don't use it when I first retire, will they let me go onto the system later? Some of them do. Some of them have an annual, you can go off it, you can go on it. So I just wanted, more the point was to say, okay, you have two different routes. This route's gonna cost you about $300 a month. This one is gonna cost you the $135 with co-pays when you retire. Does that make sense? Now the question becomes, I'm going to ignore the employer plan, because you have to ask that if you go back. I'll ignore the military, because that's you don't get that question, but can I go back and forth between the two? Okay? So, I'm going to draw it like this. Every year they have what's called the annual election period. You can drop a supplement and go to a Medicare Advantage every year, October 15th through December 7th. They don't care. There's only one question if you have end-stage renal disease, which is kidney failure with dialysis. And that one would take that out. But beyond that, that's a rare occurrence. You can go to the Medicare Advantage. Now, if you want to go this way, from a Medicare Advantage to a supplement, the supplement company has the ability to ask you medical questions. Now there are standardized questions, and if you don't pass it, they don't have to offer you the supplement. So, people ask, well, what, is anyone going to go that route? Absolutely. They do want your business, so they're not going to be too strict. But if they know that you have some known issues, if you have any heart or lung issues, any brain, mental, or nervous disorders, if you have a history of cancer, those are kind of the three knockouts. Then there's kind of a catch-all, because I have some people say, yep, everything's good, I'm very healthy. There's kind of a catch-all question. Is there anything the doctors recommended to do that you haven't? And then someone will tell me, yeah, I have glaucoma. I have cataracts that I have to have removed next year. So that would knock you out. So going from one side to the other can be very painless. Going this way may not. You may not be able to do it. That makes sense? Or, better ways, I always ask, does it make sense to say yes, but I'm not happy with it? Not happy with that answer. Well, that's beyond the mark, I guess. So, the main thing I want you to understand is, look, there are two different routes. You're not subjugated to always having that 20% of everything right here. That scares me. It should scare you. And so it's very easy to get a supplement or to get a secondary coverage supplement or a Medicare Advantage. And I'm going to say the majority of people, whichever way they decide, they're generally happy. As long as they know the parameters of either one, they're generally happy they have it, they work within it, and they just know that they have more than they do with Medicare. And that's the whole point. Any questions?
On the medical advantage, you have zero copay over there?
No, you
have
have co-pays. You have zero monthly premium.
Okay, and so that 135 up on by the C, what does that represent?
It represents this 135 right here. Because when I say that, there's no monthly premium. If I don't remind you of this, I get a call 2 months, 3 months later. You said this didn't cost me anything. I have to remind them, yes, but it doesn't take away this government portion, because this portion is a prerequisite. You have to have this portion, in order to get anything above it, anything to cap it. Because the other thing that will happen, and I have this once or twice a year, someone will be very happy with a zero premium. Great, it's wonderful. And they'll call up Medicare, hey, I have the zero premium. I don't want to pay you $135 anymore. And most of like there's a booklet, if you're looking at it from top down, I do it from top bottom up, because if you take this $135 out, it all crumbles. So you always have to keep A and B active. That's a good thing to remember. I've had people every year, I'm taking that out. And someone will do it, they're just going to go here, they have logical reason, they're going to go use the government, because there are, not everyone's planned for retirement. Not everyone has the means for that. And there was another hand. Yes.
Do you have to sign up for this when you're 65? If you're still working?
You're still working. No. If you, because what happened, okay, say you were not working and you just were out playing, you're retired and you don't have any other coverage and you forget to sign up for Medicare. You will have penalties later on top of the 135, okay? But if you have employer coverage and you're still working, when you go to sign up for Medicare, it'll be just like you were 65 and you will have no penalties. So the answer is,
Sign up for A.
when you're 65, generally I have people sign up for A. Since you asked the question, I'll say it. But there's one caveat. If you have an employer plan that has a health savings account, you can no longer add to it if you signed up for A. That's maybe 10% of the people will have that. So I try to be very careful in the way I word that. Otherwise, you can just get A and B when you're retired. So the majority of people will get yes, A, sign up for A, so you're in the system, but you don't, it's not required. And then when you do say you're 70 and you retire and you need to go on to Medicare, all of this will be just like you were 65 and you have access to all of these secondary, just like you would turning 65 and having no coverage.
Okay, I'm 65 and my mailbox has been full.
Yeah.
And my husband's not 65 yet, but he's approaching.
Okay.
Okay, I signed up for A, and I understand the B, because you go on the website and sign up for it. What do you do with all the stuff that comes in the mail, and how do you, what does it mean? I mean, I've got.
You ignore it and you call me.
Right.
Take the card. Just ignore it all and you call me when you're done.
Because you
They
say
know you're
sign
turning
up
65.
for it, where do you sign up for it? I mean, what is this?
You sign up for A
And, right,
and B at the Social Security. That's the government section. All the rest, the private,
so you sign
You
up
sign up.
privately.
privately, brokers such as myself. You can go to individual websites, to the carrier websites. So that's where you sign up for.
I think they can do it online too, can't you?
You can do this portion online, usually. And I'm going to say it's a 50-50 gamble, because if there's a couple of questions, if you answer them wrong, you're going to have to go to Social Security anyway. So I generally will tell you, make an appointment with Social Security, either a phone appointment or go in, because I know that you can finish the process. If I tell you to go online, I don't know if you're gonna, I don't know what buttons you're clicking, I don't know what you've done, and I don't know if you're gonna finish the process.
We don't know if you did either.
Yeah, and most of the time the clientele don't know if they've done it either.
You can get the phone numbers and call, we need to talk.
So I always
They'll walk
suggest,
you through the process.
call, make a phone appointment, or go in to get the government portion.
What percentage of your clientele are on what plans? What's most popular?
Good question. This holds true from when I sat in a cubicle and did it, or doing it now, okay? There's a certain percentage of the population that would never be able to afford this route. So this route is wonderful, okay? Gives you coverage. There's then there's people that just want that Cadillac. And then there's some people that, I can afford this, but I like zero. I don't want to write a check every month. I don't want to have it come into my account. I feel like I'm healthy, and I've worked with a financial planner, and I'll save for any of these co-pays. But that is pretty accurate, and it's not just me. It's the people that help to sell Medicare insurance. It's pretty standard across the board.
Do you have a feeling at all for BYU employees? They're generally,
Most of the time when I talk to them, and they stick with their employer coverage. Okay? Now you might want to turn off the camera, but a lot of times I'll just give you this. People will work for their employer, and my employer loves me, they give me this package, and they say, I've been working for my employer for X amount of years, I deserve this retirement package, I deserve this insurance. That's kind of the feeling, so they're going to take it and they're going to run with it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for them, but it's a lot of times what they'll do. It's a lot of times, like I said, BYU's pretty good. It's going to be really close to what you'd pay outside of it. You can go the supplement route, paying up $300, or you can go the Medicare Advantage, and you might, depending on your health, it's pretty close. But I do have a lot of people that will be in the $800 year range, and they still have that same mentality. I worked for it. I work for this company. They're always going to love me. I just tell them, yeah, they're not. But good luck with that one. Does that answer that question? Yeah, go ahead.
You wouldn't happen to know what the eligibility requirements are for BYU's?
No, it keeps changing. I know that one I would have to first look at.
So just out of curiosity, since you said you knew something about it, does BYU offer, right now you can pick different plans, for your family, whether you're favorite value or the select or that. Do they do the same thing with, BYU does the same thing with their
And I'm going to caveat to say, it's just when somebody shows me their BYU plan, here's the numbers, here's the thing. No, you have your the retirement plan. Here's what it is. It's one size fits
there's
all.
just one plan.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. It's always seems to be one size fits all. If you have a family, and yes, I go through because my wife, like I said, she works here in Canada. Yes, there is. When you have a family, there are different choices, mix and match to what
Even if you're, because I have a family, my baby's 3.
Okay.
So when I go on Medicare, what happens to my, I have a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 15-year-old? What happens to their medical?
That's a frowny face.
The best bet is just to go and talk to the benefits.
Go talk to your benefits, see if there's anything you can cover to make this maybe a little bit more so that they have coverage. Generally, that's a lower percentage of the people that are retiring that are going to have younger kids, but everyone's situation is different. Could have been adoption, whatever it may be. There's the Affordable Care Act, which is a whole different ballgame, well beyond this, which is the Obamacare. That's where you're going to find your insurance on that. So,
Is the 135 Medicare the base monthly rate? Are there 2 separate checks? Let's say you get the supplemental on the left, you have those costs, and then you have the 135. Do you write 2 separate checks, or will one administer both and forward the money on to the question?
if you're on Social Security, you have no choice. They will take it out before you ever see it. If you are not on Social Security and you're on Medicare, they will send you a bill quarterly. Okay? So that's this portion. This is going to come out of a checking account. The drug plan, if you have it separately or if you do it this, say there was some may have a monthly premium. Some around here there's a couple that have about a $30 monthly premium. But most of your good ones are 0. The RX Medicare Advantage, you can either take that out of your Social Security or pay it separately. So mostly it's this one that I'm always concerned about because a lot of people say, I'm great, I'm not taking Social Security because I want to build up more value in my Social Security. And then all of a sudden they get a quarterly bill from Medicare because they're not on Social Security. And I get a nasty phone call. Why do I have a $430 or $405 bill from Medicare? It's because they're not taking it out of your Social Security. And the instant you turn on Social Security, they will take it out. They're going to. Yes.
A question on the prescriptions.
Okay.
I can't, does that say both of them have deductibles, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because what I was trying to get, the supplement, you pretty much can have no copay. But no matter which one you go on the supplement route or the Medicare Advantage, you're gonna have copays and deductibles on the drug coverage.
Usually what percentage of those copays?
Usually, you're gonna have for a generic $5 to $10, a brand name usually about $45.
What about the specialty pharmacy?
Specialties, which would be a different tier, they can be $95 to 33%. Usually I'm going to see that with injectable drugs, but those ones can get rather expensive. There was another little subset that I kind of stopped talking about because it's supposed to go away in 2020. It's called the coverage gap or the donut hole. I conveniently left that out because it's supposed to go away. They've been saying that for 5 years. But until October, I don't know. But what would happen now, if you had Medicare right now and you went into the donut hole or the coverage gap, you would pay more when you hit that. So supposedly it's going away, so I've been leaving that out of my presentation because it's only until October, which is supposed to be, it should go away. And then you would just have the co-pays. And everything's going to look a little different once that coverage gap goes away. So, and I'm saying that right now, it's 5 to 10 for generics, 45 for brand name drugs. Specialties, you're going to be $95 and 33% of the cost. Yeah.
So I'll go back to my notes. I'm getting Medicare Advantage letters, and so at the same time, the supplemental private are going to be sending me under their own company's names too.
Medicare Advantage are also private. Anything above this line, they're also.
So when they get in touch, I between my husband and I mean, that's all that's in the mailbox, okay?
Yeah.
So when I open the envelope, it's going to say that it's a supplemental insurance instead of a Medicare Advantage, right? Is that?
It should say that. Because anything that's been sent in the mail has been sent to Medicare for their approval, for them to send it out. Now, I know it's going to say that. Whether you read it and see it is a whole different ballgame. Because I'll get a lot of times, nope, it says this supplement's free. I know that's not the truth, but I'll get that, and they've thrown away the flyer, they've thrown away the brochure. But yes, it will say supplement, it will say Medicare Advantage. The problem is a lot of people just, unless they've come to something like this where I've said there's a difference, it's all the same.
I didn't know.
They say, I want a Medicare Advantage Plan F, because I see that it's zero. And I have to go back and explain this process again, because I know that Plan F is not zero. And hopefully after you take a look at the list of this, you know that a Plan F is not a Medicare Advantage, and a Plan F is not going to be zero. But yes, it will, if you look at it, it will say that exactly, that it's a supplement.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So if you
Did
sign
you
up,
vote?
oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
I'll let you have your turn.
No, I'm done.
At 65, you sign up, I'm on the insurance. And so he said, go ahead and sign up for A.
Right, go ahead and do that.
So if I used, which I don't, go ahead. If I ended up in the hospital, would Plan A work also as well as my BYU insurance, or because I have insurance?
They will be happy to use it, because it takes some of the pressure off of you. They'll coordinate with Plan A if you go over
So I have two.
Yes, they will be happy to use it. They will encourage you to use it.
So I answered the question, if you guys are there, you need to sign up for A, when you turn 65.
So in general, yes, I encourage you to sign up for A. Almost 100% positive that UAE doesn't have an HSA that you use, so I can say that pretty signature. But I always want to make sure I give that little caveat. So if someone just called me and go on A, I need a little bit more information, is what I have to tell you. In general, yes, get A. In your case, go ahead, get A. So you're in the system.
Now the other question says, what if you move out of, you start your Medicare, here in this state, and you move to another state, as far as these supplemental plans?
With the move, if you move to another state, you will have open access to all of them. Because, say, because I know that, I don't know the network that they use. I know that on my card, they tap into the United Healthcare network for stuff that's outside of IHC here. But yes, if you moved, you again, you're going to want to readdress your employer fund and say, hey, maybe I want what's in the area, wherever it may be. So I'll tell you this, maybe this is kind of leaving. Supplement, this is pretty, these numbers are pretty good. Say you're in Florida where there's lots and lots of retirees, your supplement rates are going to be much higher than this, okay? Your Medicare Advantage, some awesome Medicare Advantage. 0 premium, 0 copays, doctor and hospital specialists. If you live in Las Vegas.
Where you live.
Yeah, that's what just this little caveat. So these numbers can be skewed because inevitably I have someone. My brother-in-law doesn't pay anything. He doesn't have a supplement. Doesn't pay this or that. I'm like, that's why I kind of at the very beginning I slid that line in. This is this is because there are certain places that are different than others, and then some people, depending on your monetary situation, Medicaid will come in and cover a lot of this for you too. Medicaid's a whole different ballgame.
So do people move to different states so they get the better medical coverage?
Most of the time they move for other reasons. Kids, temperature, activities, and they just, most of the time when I talk to someone that's moved, I talk to them and they don't have any idea what's available to them, because that wasn't the first thing. That was the first top 10 things of why they're moving. It wasn't in the top 10. Every so often, someone may. There's certain games that people play with in Medicare. They'll move someplace just so they can pick up different insurances. But that's not a game that I encourage or talk too much about. I've seen that happen. So yeah, any other questions? If not, please come up and ask me individually. I don't want to keep you, if you have to leave, just feel free to leave, that's fine.